Stacked rocks, more commonly known as cairns, placed along the trail signified that you are on the right track. It is a marker guiding you to the correct path or trail in cases where navigation becomes difficult and the trail may be easily lost. Each breast cancer path is unique. Our intention is to place cairns along the trail, encouraging and empowering you on your journey to wellness. Join us as we unpack the four core principles that empower you to make positive changes that can affect both your cancer diagnosis and also your life. Focus and fortitude, faith and forgiveness, food and fuel, and family and friends.
Welcome to Four Core and More for Stage 4 with Lori Lober and Allison Rash, presented by Breast Cancer Wellness Media. In today's episode, we talk with Ellyn Lynch, an accomplished registered nurse with over 20 years of experience, including experience in oncology nursing. She is also the founder of E. Michael Health, LLC, and a board-certified nurse coach. She hosts online group workshops through an online platform, Grace, the healing journey for breast cancer survivors.
Oh my gosh, you guys, another fun day. We're all alive, we're all healthy. We are doing what we can to help others who tune into these podcasts or Zoom meetings or whatever you want to call them. And I'm so excited because today we have a friend of mine, Ellyn Lynch, and she is another person that I met through Facebook and the Facebook groups. And that Facebook, I know I say it every time, don't I, Allison? I love Facebook and how we're all able to connect because it's just, I might have gone the rest of my life without ever knowing you, Ellyn, and that just would have been a heartbreaker.
I know it. It's definitely been a special connection for sure. Yeah.
I agree. Well, everyone just heard all of your accolades, everything you've done. I don't know how you've done all that, honestly, at your young age, but you've touched a lot of lives already. And I know there's more to come. What do you think? I mean, this is only the beginning.
Yeah, I think it truly is only the beginning. I'm very gracious for the path that I've already had in my life. It comes with great struggle, but great triumph. And I believe that probably one of the most amazing things in my life has just been my ability to serve others. And so regardless of what platform I have been able to be a part of, I think it's just been beautiful to be able to connect with people like you, Lori, and now Allison, to do things that really fill people's cups. Because when you fill other people's cups, it comes back, right? It touches our own and fills our own hearts in ways that we could never have imagined. So
absolutely. Yeah. Don't make me start crying already. I've already got little tears in my eyes. It's true. Yeah. There's this whole thing is so rewarding. Let's start this segment by asking Ellyn, I want to know what it was like being in the chemo room, especially the first time someone is getting their chemo. They don't know what to expect. I'm sure you see the fear in their eyes. I mean, what was that like as an oncology nurse administering chemo for the first time?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I think there was a lot of mixed emotions that people came with. I would say that most people didn't just come with fear, but they came with a glimmer of hope. And so I always feel like having expectations gives us some sort of hope to some degree. So when people feel like they are doing the right thing and they're getting help and they actually are in the first parts of treatment, I think that they feel like there's now hope because it's not that waiting time where they've been diagnosed, they're going through all the tests, they have the appointments. And so now it's actually, there's something being done. I think there was a lot of fear because of the unknown. A lot of first-time chemotherapy treatments can cause some adverse effects, as we all have heard and know. And I think that was probably the most compelling fear of the unknown of how it was going to affect their body. just the unknown of just the whole process, I think became very fear giving. And so I think it was beautiful to be able to come around women at that time and just really support them, to give them the education that step by step, we're going to be with you, what questions do you have? And the more educated they became, the more empowered they felt to have some sort of expectation, to have hope that there's going to be an end of that day that's going to look better than it was at the beginning when they didn't know what was going to happen. So, a lot of spectrum of emotions, and each one of them valid, right? Each one of them valid.
For sure. To me, it just seems like you are a very empathetic person. And I'm just curious how you, on a personal level, were able to go home at night and draw that line and say, I did what I could do during the day today. Now I have to be, a wife and mother and caretaker. What's that like going home and being able to just shut it off? Or can you?
Yeah, I don't think you can ever shut that off when you start caring about people. It's just natural to love on individuals that come into your life. I always told my patients, you come in, now we're family. And so they became my family, each and every single one of them, and their family members. It was wonderful because we formulated this amazing connection that you don't often get, because people are so vulnerable in the time of hardship or struggle or worry. And so they a lot of times confess their state of emotion. And so I think that's really lovely, because then we had time to talk about that. We had time to process, and they felt listened to and heard, as much time as that we were allowed to give them. But I always tried to like go back and find ways to have fun and be a part of their little joyous moments, and even the times that were hard. To answer your question, I don't know that I've even been able to shut off the love and just the power that has been, outpoured from just those patients. I just think that they gave so much more to me than I could have ever done for them. And you take something from every single person. There's a memory, something that you've learned about their life that has touched yours. And I think that's really powerful. And it gives me hope to keep going and doing more for other people.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, oh, you're a strong woman. I mean, so strong. And in my opinion, an angel right here on earth. So thank you for everything.
Yes. And Ellyn, I was going to say, speaking as the person sitting in the chair, my nurses and people like you, you feel like you're my family. So I love hearing from your perspective that we as the patients become part of your family too, because you all definitely become part of our family.
Yeah, I truly believe that. And I think we feel that too, definitely feel that. So when there's triumph, there's victory, and we're celebrating. When there's sadness, we hurt too. Mm-hmm. And so that's the precious gift that we've been given in relationships, if we allow it.
And it does make me think, I did ask my oncologist one time, Dr. Salem, I said, you get so close to your patients. How do you handle it when you lose someone, or, and he said, that is hard, but can you imagine what I would have missed if I hadn't? So I just thank you for bearing that with us as patients too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my honor.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, tell us now, how important is it, in your opinion, for the newly diagnosed that's just now starting treatment? We're assuming they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's and they feel good about their treatment plan. How important is it for them to feel like they're partnering with their oncologist and with the nurses who are administering the treatment?
That is a great question, Lori. And I think the word that I love the best about it is partnering, because that's really what they should be doing. I am a big patient advocate for family, friends, anybody I don't know, to be a part of your healthcare. Just don't just sit back and let somebody make decisions for you. Do what's right for you, because we are not a one size fits all in healthcare or in life. And so what may be applicable and feel right for one person, it might not feel right for somebody else. And I believe that we just have to listen to ourselves and really get educated on what is in our best interest. And so when you say partner, I believe that 100% the nurses and doctors that are working alongside of people, I just believe that they want to hear your input. I do. And your communication, our communication as patients, is probably the key to whether it's maybe a good outcome or a great outcome. So if there's something that you know that we don't know, it's helpful, because what that can do is that can help, like, basically leverage your care, or it can give us like a window to see something that maybe we would be concerned about. So
Well, I was just going to piggyback on that too, as you're talking about the patient bringing information to you. I think as an oncology nurse, you talked about how each medication affects patients' bodies differently. And I was reminded to, if I'm feeling something, to tell my nurses, because they don't know if I don't tell them. And they usually have something that can help me with that side effect, whether it's mouth sores or tingling in your hands or feet, or feeling nauseous on certain days. Like, I think as an oncology nurse, is it important that patients tell you when they're feeling something, I guess?
absolutely. It's so vital. What we don't know, we don't know. So then we can't help you, support you. And there's so many things out there, whether they're more of a naturopathic method to try, if that's something that you want to start with, or if there's something prescription wise that we can support you with. But I believe that, and if we don't know, like you said, we can't take care of it or help you in any way. And so it's important, and I believe that it provides quality of care too. So, your perspective of how things are going are probably going to go much better if you speak up and tell us something that, hey, like, I'm having really hard time swallowing, and we're trying to guess why your weight is going down. Well, you can't keep anything in because your throat is so sore, or you're having GI issues of some sort. It can't be a guessing game on our end. It has to be clear communication. And that's the partnership that Lori had brought up in the beginning.
How important is it in your mind? I know you and I have spoken about this, but in your mind, how important is it for the patient to see themselves as whole and well on the other side of where these treatments are starting?
Yeah, I think that's so important. You and I talked a little bit about, biology and lifestyle modifications. And really, biology is just a very small portion of our health. So we come with certain characteristics in our DNA that may promote, based on hereditary, 10 to 15%, maybe that's even high, of why we might have cancer. But on the other spectrum of things, we have about 85% that is really our lifestyle modifications. And so I believe that when people can understand that, coming into treatment, we have options. We have, there's a lot of different things that we need to address in our lives. We need to address our spiritual health and our financial health and our environmental health, physical health, which is being addressed, of course, because of chemo, but just emotional health, the whole spectrum. We need to look at the whole person. We need to really account for everything about us, because each part matters. Each part matters. And I kind of give this analogy that, when people see that we have a broken leg, it's in a cast. A lot of people will come, oh my gosh, flocking, because it's important. It's important to address something that people can see, because they want to help. They want to take care of you. It's no less important to take care of how we are thinking and feeling when we come into situations. And I just blanketly call that just emotional hygiene. So we just don't see what's coming on the inside as easily as we see something broken on the outside to address, to bring into a situation. So we're attending to those things.
I love it. I love it. Before we get into the 4 cores, I was wondering, Allison, would you want to present the question that I just love it when you talk about the broken, is it you that's broken or something else?
Yes. So one of my prayers has always been just to help heal this broken system. And I think of it in 2 ways. One way is I'm so grateful for our healthcare system, but there are parts that are broken. And I feel like I know those parts because I fell through the cracks. I'm speaking from inside those broken pieces. So both kind of parts of the healthcare system that are broken, and then also the brokenness within our own bodies and just trying to heal that piece of the brokenness too. So I don't know if you can speak on either or both of those, just as a stage 4 cancer patient, maybe what to watch for, what to look for, how to kind of navigate both brokenness in healthcare in certain areas, and then just to kind of look inward and look at the brokenness within yourself too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are big topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll maybe try to just briefly address the healthcare where there might be some broken channels. And so this is my opinion, but I believe that there is a disconnect between healthcare and the people receiving healthcare. I think there's a lot of reasons, some that maybe just can't get unnamed or will be unnamed today. But I believe that, big pharmacy and insurance companies dictate and mandate a lot of things that doctors can and cannot do. So in some cases, we just have the inability to serve our patients the best that we can because of our own limitations within organizations. With that being said, I think there's a lot of improvement in just the basic component of communication. We get so busy and there's high demands on our providers to do more and get more results and have more clients on our lists every day. And with that, I think the education and the time spent with people to understand, again, we're not a one size fits all, but medicine today is let's standardize everything to try to have a process that we can go. So it's kind of a no fail system, kind of like the airline system. They compare medicine to airlines because airlines have a process for everything they go through every time. It's a no fail system. Medicine would love to do that. Unfortunately, again, we don't all fit those things perfectly. And so there will be people that fall between the cracks. And that's the hard thing to see. And so that's where people need to come together and speak up. Take a journal, take a notebook, keep notes, ask questions, be your best advocate. What options do you have? Speak up, because just because somebody gives you a plan, you need to be included in that plan. And I think sometimes we don't have time. A lot of Western medicine has great diagnostic benefits. They have great treatment plans, but sometimes people don't want to do those things or they can't do those things. And so I think being a part of the solution to speak up when you feel like, is there something else I can do? Or this would be my biggest barrier is closing that communication gap, because sometimes we don't want to get to the why. We just want to get to a fix. And so then the why kind of gets pushed away. And then the fix is just a silencing button until then we have a branch of lots of different things that need to be silenced because we didn't get to the why. And so if you're wanting to get to the why, I feel like we need to be more proactive about being engaged in our own care. So on that spectrum with healthcare, as far as like coming in as an individual, I think that so many people today don't feel empowered to speak up for whatever reason, whether they feel hopeless, they feel like they are not worth it, they don't know that they have that ability to really be the best person that's going to care for them. I always tell my family and friends, if there's something that you don't like or something that you need to be the communicator, because I may not know. I will assume, but I don't know for sure. And so it's important that we all remember that when we go into any situation that we are involved with really sharing with people where we are, what we need, how we need it, because that's the biggest break in our communication and our connections, is because people are assuming with the time limit that we have. And each person's going to come with a varying degree of hurts and happiness and fear. I just think that fear is a big driver, a big stifler of hope. And so if you come with a lot of struggle in your life, you may feel like, really, I kind of deserve this. I just feel like this is my lot in life. And that hope gets squandered. And instead of realizing that, we can have an expectation to live a great life, even in the midst of this hard place.
I think that is so helpful. And you touched on both the healthcare, and it really kind of transitions into within yourself as well. So I think that's very helpful for our listeners to feel empowered and feel like it is important to speak up and be a partner in their care.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us, through the course of the time you've worked with cancer patients, have you noticed, just Ellyn, anything in particular that the ones who have favorable outcomes are doing that maybe the other ones aren't? I mean, I know we can all do everything right and still not make it. Mm-hmm. So that's not really what I'm asking. I'm just saying, is there anything that you have seen that has really helped with positive outcomes in the long run?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've never been able to do like a research around that. But what I do have to say is the people that came in, really looking at like living in their faith, focusing on positivity, because it's too easy to focus on negative times. I mean, it's just, pointing those things becomes too easy in our society today. So it's kind of like climbing the hill when you're really focused on, no matter what comes, I'm going to stay focused and I'm going to stay joyful, because, that takes effort. But it's also a courageous move. And courage sometimes can look challenging, or it can look like we just, it's deserving to be courageous. And we have to understand that endurance builds a lot of courage. It builds resilience. And I believe that the most patients that I saw that had the best outcomes, that had the most positive, joyful belief system, that came in just shining, even when they had a bad day and they were able to communicate it, really had the best quality of life, to be honest, because they focused on what they could focus on that was happy. And there's something to be said about that, because there's enough fear and anguish in this world that keeps us pushed back and held back. But when their focus was on the light of things, I just believe that they just became very radiant. And that is healing. That's healing. When we add stress to our body, our cortisol level goes up, our blood pressure goes up. I mean, our body physically responds to stress. And so when you come in and you're stressed out because you're focusing on like, oh, it could go terrible, and I just can't do this today. Our stress, we're going into like a sympathetic nervous response where everything kind of is being adjusted, and we feel like we're going to go lift the car because we're so nervous. And I think if there's a sense of calm, our body responds to that, and we don't feel like we're battling against just the daily battle. And I believe that those people came out in pursuit of something more than just their ability to control what was happening, but to just live their best life.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Isn't she so eloquent, Allison?
Yes.
I just sit and listen to her all day. You know that we have 4 cores that we are trying to focus on with regard to this series. I know you have input on all of them. We probably should do a part 2 with Ellyn sometime.
Yes, definitely.
But is there one or two of those cores that you'd like to speak on before we sign off for today?
Yeah. Um, I I really believe in faith and forgiveness. And I guess because I have never had breast cancer myself, but I have some in my family. And walking alongside of these beautiful people that I got to be involved in their life, I have learned so much about their courageous acts of just leaning into their faith. Hope anchors them. Hope has anchored them, and there's no room for bitterness, which is the root of fear. And so, I just saw them open up and blossom from places of growth, from just their own struggles and allowing their fears to be let go. Like, I'm giving this to God. I can't control this today. And I just glorify that I have another day. And that was so insightful to me because as much as I have had my own struggles in different ways in life, and life has looked dark and hard, so have they. And struggle can be different. The storylines can be different, but struggle can still feel hard. It can still feel dark and scary and desolate and desperate. And so for that, I just felt like my walk, my understanding, my need for God in those places just was aspiring. It just started blooming, and I just craved more knowledge because it came to a crook where it does in most struggle of understanding why. What's the purpose? Why me? And I found that a lot of people that focused on the self-pity in life instead of just allowing God to do his work because maybe there's a purpose in that and turning their focus that way, really, really felt like they had more life in them because it wasn't about what they could control or what happened or what they did, but that God had a purpose for something in their life, or he was blooming something that was coming for us to know or learn and be a part of. And so it just really dove deep into my heart, the conversations that we had, because those that were unforgiving, that held a lot of anger in their heart, you could feel that, and you could see how that held them back in feeling good. And so I believe wholeheartedly that when we work hard not to struggle and not to feel uncomfortable in life, we may not gain the beauty of the other side. And so sometimes it's just surrendering to that moment and understanding that we have a bigger purpose to serve, and we may not know what that is in the moment.
Boy, howdy. I feel like my stage 4 cancer diagnosis gave me permission to do stuff that I never in my whole life thought I'd be able to do. Go on vacations without feeling guilty. I mean, just, I don't know. It brought almost more joy into my life than I ever thought I could have had otherwise, as strange as that sounds.
Yeah, that doesn't sound strange at all. Mm-mm.
It's crazy. What about, I know you are very into food and fuel as well. How about a few wise nuggets there?
Yes. So I do believe that food and fuel are a huge component in getting our bodies healthy. So, we had talked previously that, about 100 years ago, the nutrition in our soil, the nutrients in our soil were so different than they are today. We just don't have those today. So eating an apple today is not going to supply the same things that it would have 100 years ago. And actually in the 1930s, they had already recognized that. And so, we need to understand that we need to fuel our bodies because we're probably not getting it even in the foods that we have. So supplementing and finding out for ourselves, just what it is that we need to become the healthiest So just because you're going through cancer treatment or you have, cardiovascular disease does not mean that we can't focus on that and as a parallel, because the more healthy our bodies are, the better they're going to respond to the things that we need to do to keep our lives, our bodies sustaining. And so one fact is that about 70 to 80% of our immune system is focused from our small intestine. So you think about anything that we eat or anything that comes in through our skin or anything that, comes in through our eyes or nose, that all gets into our GI tract. And so our immune system is going to combat for anything that we are not, that's not good. So any foreign invaders or, processed foods, tons of sugar, anything like that, our body is going to combat, saying like, oh, this is not okay. And so they go to defend and fight that bad antigen or bad invader. And what happens is that we get a lot of inflammation that comes with that. Just because of, we get a splinter in our finger, you think about, well, gosh, I got some inflammation there. It's no different in our bodies. And so there's a lot of inflammation that comes and collects and gives us the brain fog and the hard, memory, be able to concentrate, and our achy joints and feeling tired. Well, that's probably something that we really need to focus on for ourselves. Why? What are we doing? How can we better nurture our body so that we can run like the best that we can run and feel the best that we can feel? So I firmly believe that, when people get new diagnoses, or even now, family, friends, anybody in this world, it's really, we really need to delve into looking at where our health is. And that is probably going to be, unfortunately, fortunately, more on the Eastern side. So taking things in, advocating for ourselves, and really getting on not just a one size fits all, vitamin treatment, but just really understanding what your body needs. And I think that is so helpful. There's always things that we can do independently to just get ourselves healthier.
I agree. And that's one of the things that we do have control over, what we knowingly put into our mouths. I mean, we can't control the air we breathe and what we absorb through our skin and all that stuff. But by gosh, I sure know what's in my cup, and I'm going to control that it's the good stuff, as a stage 4 survivor. And Allison, I know you feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's huge, bigger than most people think. I mean, a lot of the times the people I speak with who have had recurrences, I'll say, what, if anything, did you change between the time of your first diagnosis and your second diagnosis, and with regard to nutrition? And so often, no one has suggested that they change their nutrition. Why is that? I mean, I remember when I used to ask the nurses at MD Anderson, where I started out, what is there that I could eat or drink that could maybe give me a better chance for long-term survival? And I felt like they looked at me like I had 3 eyes 21 years ago. Do you think that's changing now, Ellyn, at all?
I hope so. I know that the conversation that I have had with patients, in all different cancers, it's really hard for people to want to change something when they feel like there's a lot of lack of control in their life at that moment. And so some things that they feel that are the most comforting are the foods that they choose. And so them feeling empowered to take on a different perspective of health, gaining that health, I believe that sometimes they just feel like it's too much. It's too much change. I don't have enough. There's nothing that I can feel is something that I enjoy right now. I don't have energy. I don't have, but what they don't understand is that all those things are going to deliver this more beautiful outcome, if they just start working on it today. But it is change. So, and I don't love the word change, but I like, just supporting your body differently, I think is a better way to say it, because change feels like we've done something wrong. Supporting it feels like we just choose to do something different. And that's okay.
Right.
I love that. And I feel like, Ellyn, you have given us so many things to think about, to help empower our patients. And like you said, sometimes it can feel like we're getting so much information. If we're asking people just to take the step that's in front of you, just do one thing, Is there one thing that you could just leave us with today that maybe you've left us with so many great nuggets of wisdom, but just one thing, if someone just is like, oh, I feel so overwhelmed today, but I can do this one thing today, what would that be?
That is a fantastic question. I would say the one thing that I would leave you with today is take time for you and just process the emotions where you are. Don't try to scramble and get past being sad. Don't try to be strong for other people. It's okay just to be where you are today. It's okay to acknowledge, I am so angry. I am so sad. I am so overwhelmed. And bring along people to support you in that spot where you don't need a solution. You just want somebody to listen.
Absolutely. And there is no right or wrong way. Just get through it and know that there could still be lots of rainbows and butterflies ahead.
And we're definitely going to have to bring you back again, Ellyn, to continue this conversation, because I feel like there's just so much, you have so much wisdom, and there's so much more that you can share with us too. And thank you for being such a light as well. Like, I feel like you are such a light.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, for your time. And I can't wait for all of us to be together in person. I know, one of these days.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You can find Ellyn on Facebook at Ellyn Lynch, Lynch. And you can also sign up to be part of her breast cancer survivors group, Grace, the healing journey for breast cancer survivors. If there's one action step that you can take today, it would be to survey your life and see if there's areas where you could do something different, where you could help support your body so that you can get the best outcome possible. And always remember to look for the Karens.